everybody, and welcome to our Monday night call-in show for the OHIO podcast. I am your host, the Wild Man, Chris Wilds. And hey, I'm going to leave a lot of this up to you tonight to bring me what you want to talk about. Just want to hit a few of the headlines from the day before we get started. But before we jump on that, let me just remind you to go ahead and hop on. And if you haven't already, smash that like button. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel. It doesn't cost you a thing to do that, and it helps get our show out to several other people uh, by you doing that. If you like what we do, hey, go on and become an official member. It's only $3.99 a month. Tons of great content, as well as giveaways. You get access to our free preview magazine that we have come out at the beginning of the year. So lots of benefits to becoming a member. We are also, just need to make mention of this, we are the official podcast of Scarlet and Game and Fansided. Hop on over to Scarlet and Game and Fansided, where you can find tons of wonderful articles written by several great journalists, including the podfather himself, Eric Boggs. As well, we are the official Ohio State podcast of the College Huddle. Hop on over to the College Huddle, which is your direct link to 77, I believe now, podcasts from across the country and all throughout the sport of college football. The chat is hopping tonight, and I'm excited to see that. It looks like we've got Tyler in the chat. Tyler, welcome. Mika's out there in the chat. Andre. I know Steely Matt was one of the first ones in the chat today, along with Jason. Our man Caden the Man's in the chat as well. Looks like he might be first on deck. But before we go to the phones, just kind of a review of what's happened today a little bit. First of all, the Buckeyes got back on the practice field today. We did not have, of course, any media access, so didn't really get to see anything. No video, not a whole lot of talk coming out of the Woody. But we did get to hear from the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and of course head coach head coach Ryan Day today. And we learned a little bit. Brian Hartline came out, talked a little bit about the quarterbacks, how things are going to go with that, how things are looking. He said he's very impressed with all of the quarterbacks at this point. Matt Patricia, of course, mentioned that his first impressions here at Ohio State have been very positive. He's excited for what we're seeing. He's excited for the players that are returning, as well as for some of that youth to get out there on the field. Ryan Day stepped on, and he really talked about two things that I took some interest in. One of those being the spring game. Obviously, we don't really have a format for the spring game, but Ryan Day has basically come out and said, hey, you know what? We do, even though it's called a spring showcase, we do kind of want to have that normal scrimmage, but things such as injuries and things like that, he needs a little bit of wiggle room for exactly how he's going to approach the spring showcase. But it sounds like we are going to get an actual scrimmage of sorts. And then the other thing he touched on was the depth. It sounds to me like he's planning to do a little bit more rotation. He took a lot away from that playoff run last year, and it seems like maybe he's prepared to, continue to rotate that offensive line around. We saw a lot of rotation on the defensive line. So anybody who got to see the press conferences, if you want to hop on here and talk a little bit about the press conferences, talk about what's going on in spring, that's great. The other thing we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give you a quick rundown of this. Today, the U.S. versus Matt Weiss kicked off in federal court. Matt Weiss was arraigned at 1 o'clock this afternoon on a litany of charges. Was pleaded not guilty, of course, was released on a $10,000 unsecured bond this afternoon. But that brought to mind a little bit for me, where does Matt Weiss and the University of Michigan rank in terms of all-time scandals in college football? So I kind of came up with a top 10 all-time scandals in college football. And I'm going to run that by you and just want to get your thought on that, get your thoughts on what's going on this spring. your thoughts on Matt Weiss, thoughts on cheating, thoughts on everything tonight. So, real quick before we go to the phones, I'm going to run down that top 10. So, at number 10, I've got the Florida State academic fraud in 2007. They had over 60 student athletes involved who were cheating on online courses in order to stay eligible to play college football. This was obviously a severe cheating scandal. No, I'm sorry, not cheating scandal, a severe fraud scandal. But I didn't think it leveled up to the severity of some of the others. Then we have the 80s and 90s Miami Hurricanes, which, they were a scandal every other week. There was no one great scandal, but recruiting violations, players linked to drugs, criminal activity, just generally unsavory behavior. So I've got that in at number 9. At number 8, I've got Tattoo Gate. Yes, I have to put us in there. Granted, it might not be as severe as the other, but it seemed to bring on more severe consequences than the others. It was the players traded their memorabilia for tattoos. Of course, that was a violation of NCAA rules at the time. Relatively minor when you compare it to other scandals, but it did, of course, lead to postseason bans, some vacated wins, and, of course, the resignation of Jim Tressel. At number 7, I've got Reggie Bush. The Reggie Bush scandal at USC. That was, of course, severe because it led to not only vacated wins, but it led to vacating a national title and Bush having to give up his Heisman Trophy. Number 6, I've got the Miami Hurricanes back in the news again with the Nevin Shapiro scandal. Shapiro was a booster who was giving impermissible benefits, money, trips, various carnal needs were serviced by some young ladies as well. This went on for nearly a decade. Didn't get the hammer I thought they would. But then again, the next team more than made up for that, because at number 5, I've got the SMU death penalty scandal. And you'd think this would rank higher. But guys, if you look at what actually occurred, yes, they paid players to come to SMU and play football. It was a long-running scheme. And in 1987, the NCAA, for the first and only time, delivered the death penalty. And I actually think there's 4 scandals right now that are far more severe than what SMU did. One of those, of course, is number 4, which is the sign stealing scandal. Obviously, Connor Stalions, of course, allegedly led to widespread effort to steal team signals, breaking NCAA rules by doing off-campus same-season scouting, doing it using video recording. So I've got that at number 4. At number 3, I have the current Matt Weiss scandal, and I had to separate those because we haven't had a link yet. Why do I have that above the cheating? As bad as the cheating was on field. Well, first of all, it's a federal crime what's going on. This isn't just an NCAA violation. This is federal crime. And it involves 3,300 people. You're talking about downloaded pictures of student athletes, from what we have heard, mostly female, but we don't know. It's also spurned a lawsuit that's been filed by 2 former Michigan athletes, which basically is saying that under Title IX, the university failed to train and monitor Weiss and protect its students. Now, here's the thing about that. Does this fall under lack of institutional control? Probably. But more importantly, this isn't just Matt Weiss named in this lawsuit. This is Matt Weiss. This is the Board of Regents of the university. This is the school as a whole. Guys, this is a mess. At number 2, I've got the Baylor sex assault scandal in 2016. Of course, multiple football players were accused of sexual assault in the program under Art Briles. Briles was found to have ignored it and covered it up, which is an obvious violation of the Clery Act. Briles ended up being, of course, resigning from the school. The athletic director resigned, the university president, and Baylor, they were hit pretty hard. The reputation of that school is still not 100% recovered. And then, of course, at number 1, we've got the Jerry Sandusky scandal. Yes, it was a while back. Yes, it's not fresh in my mind like the Michigan stuff. But guys, whenever you cover up the sex abuse of, children, let's call it what it was. These were young players who came for camp. So Joe Paterno, we don't know 100%. Was he complicit? Wasn't he complicit? It appears that he was complicit in the cover up, if nothing else. And I don't think that there's anything more. There's a scandal with more moral or legal ramifications than the Penn State scandal. So those were my top 10. So guys, I'm going to hop over to the phone now. Looks like our first caller is our friend Caden the Man. So we're going to get him up on here. Caden, how's it going, man?
Good evening, Wild Man. How we doing tonight, good sir?
Oh man, I'm all over the place tonight, man. I mean, I'm excited about spring football. I'm disgusted by the University of Michigan. I'm excited that the hammer might be coming down finally. But feeling, as much as I want to see the hammer come down, specifically for the cheating, I got to have a little bit of sympathy for what happened to all these people affected by this Matt Weiss scandal.
Well, here's the thing, Wild Man. There's not going to be just one hammer going to be dropping on Michigan. There's going to be 2 hammers dropping on Michigan's head. One of them is that lawsuit. The other one is a loss at the hands of Ohio State, November 29th in Ann Arbor. And that's a fact. And then the spring practice, the boys are back. And the thing is, Eric or Chris, they don't allow the media in because of the scandals of Michigan, but also at the same time, this is the time for the guys to really get going. But also, this is the time for the big dogs to eat. The big dogs are back in the house, pumping weight, getting ready to go. This is for the guys to really, really get up and go because the spring game is coming up soon, and the other guys and the rookies are getting ready to go. And then on August 30th we got Texas at home, which we got to get ready to rumble because Texas is going to come back for some revenge. But we're going to show up against Texas, and we did show up once. We're going to show up again, and this August 30th, Texas, them Hornets are going down because Texas is about to take a huge L, and I guarantee you that.
Well, let me just tell you something, Caden. I'm not as worried about Texas as what a lot of people are, and this is why. I don't know if you caught us last night or not when we had TG on and we talked a little bit about this, but Texas lost as much, if not more, than Ohio State. Yes, they've got Arch Manning, and Arch Manning is he's a talented kid, but
Wild Man,
is he great? I don't know. I don't know how great we can say he is right now.
Wild Man.
Yeah.
Arch Manning. Okay, he's a good quarterback. But for one, there's 2 things. One, it's his name. And 2, he's trained with his uncles for the last couple of years since they've been retired. But he's still got to prove a lot to say he's a good quarterback. Because I know that Texas game is going to be our first win big time, because Arch Manning is not ready to handle Ohio State's defense. Everybody says he's ready. Texas fans are saying, Arch Manning's the biggest deal since, I don't know, Vince Young. He is no big deal. When Ohio State hands him his first season loss, we're really going to know what he's all about. And I ain't worried about Texas. Some fans are. I tell fans that Texas is going to be our first win at home, and it's going to be a blowout against Texas. Why? Because I'm that dang confident.
Can I
and I'm confident that our defense. Also, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Our defense is going to show why we are the Ohio State University.
Okay, and I'm gonna say something here that a lot of people may think is crazy. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you that Texas is our biggest obstacle this regular season. I don't agree. We've got them at home. They've lost as much as we have. I think that Texas is a good team. I don't think they are an elite team right now. Then a lot of people will also say we got to get over that Michigan hump, and I agree with that. And I think we will. I think we will. I just don't think. I think they may be worse this year than they were last year. I really do, and that's even with Bert Underwear or whatever Eric calls him, rolling into town. Then there's Penn State, and Penn State is predicted by a lot of people to be a very good team this year. This is the thing. James Franklin will James Franklin this thing because that's what he does. And we have them in Columbus, so I'm telling you right now, I'm not as worried about Penn State. Can I tell you the game that scares me the most on this schedule is Illinois. I think, let me tell you, say what you will, I think that Ohio State can beat them, obviously. But I do think they are sneaky good, and they're the type of team that if something happens, a bad turnover, if the Ohio State has a miscue, if there's an injury of some sort, that is the type of team that can sneak up on you and take advantage. I honestly believe that right now, you've got Ryan Day, Dan Lanning. Those are the kind of the elite coaches in the Big Ten. That next tier has Bret Bielema in it, rather. He's a good coach. And I think he could sneak up and get us if we're not careful. The same way that we've had Purdue get us in the past. They could do that.
Chris, I literally just spit up my Mountain Dew when you just said Illinois. You gotta be kidding me. Illinois at Illinois? Okay, I'm gonna stop you there a while, man. And first of all, I did not fart. I actually spit out my Mountain Dew. Illinois? You gotta be kidding me. The same team who literally took Michigan to the brim? Yeah, right. Illinois. No, not a chance. Illinois is going down big time. As far as Penn State goes, nah, we gonna handle business like we are at home, and like we're gonna do it again. Illinois, welcome to the Hall of Fame, boys. You about to get punished big time by the big boys of the Big Ten. You got a problem with that? Find Illinois. So do me a favor, take your orange and navy, turn it sideways, and stick it straight up where the sun don't shine. So just give you a warning.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you, be careful not to let your confidence boil over into arrogance, Caden. That's all I'm saying. Be careful not to let the confidence boil over into arrogance.
Boil over into arrogance. Boil over into arrogance.
Okay. Right, okay, Caden, I've got 3 more on the line. You have anything else before we switch over?
Hold on, man. And you're worried about Illinois?
I'm not saying I'm worried. I'm saying they're the team that I think worries me the most of what I've seen on the schedule.
Oh my gosh. Wow, man. And you're nervous about Illinois and Penn State? Oh my gosh. I would rather play Georgia than Illinois. Or at least somebody like BYU or Illinois. Between BYU and Illinois, I'd rather play or BYU or Iowa State than them. They're actual competition. Illinois was just lucky against Michigan, but when they come face to face with us, it's going to be a whole different story. Ohio State beats Illinois big time, and we're going to show them why we're the big dogs of the Big Ten. And there's an old saying, if you can't hang with the big dogs, then get on the porch, puppies, because y'all a bunch of puppies. Because Ohio State's the big dogs in the Big Ten. So scoot aside, puppies. The big dogs are in the house, if you know what I mean.
All right, Caden, and with that, I'm going to have to let you go. I've got a full bank. I will talk to you later. Have a good one, my man.
See you on Thursday, Wild Man.
Bye. All right, so always good to hear from Caden. Got to love that enthusiasm. But, you know, I got to tell you guys, I think he's letting that enthusiasm boil over into a little bit of arrogance, and we don't need that. Next up, I believe we have Tyler. Let's check it out here. Tyler, is that you?
Yes, Chris, it's me.
What's up, my brother?
What do you think of these class action lawsuits?
I think they're going to cost the University of Scum a lot of money. A whole lot of money. I mean, that's it's no joke. It is no joke. These class action lawsuits. I mean, we've only got 2 students involved right now. But you talk about the fact that 3,300 people were affected by this, Tyler.
No. Let's not minimize it, Chris. 150,000.
Well, this was just at Michigan in 21 and 22. There were 3,300 people.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
If you go all the way back to 1,000. If you go all the way back to 2015, when Weiss was with Baltimore and cheating for, Jimmy's brother, I don't know exactly how far-reaching it is, but I'm just going to tell you, all I know is this. There is a serious problem for Michigan. This lawsuit could cost them in the long run in the hundreds of millions of dollars. They're going to suffer more for this financially than what Weiss is going to, because let me tell you, Weiss could conceivably get, under the current charges, he's facing 14 separate charges currently. Each carries a 5-year and $250,000 maximum fine. So you think about that.
Hey, that's still a hefty amount of money, Chris. That's still a hefty amount of money.
It's about $3.5
million. 6 figures.
Yeah, it's about $3.5 million. But here's the big thing.
Oh, that's
even more so is the fact that the 14 counts with 5 years per is 70 years in prison time.
Oh yeah. And I don't know if I told you this before, Chris. So when I was in the Army, I actually I got training to work at a prison.
Okay.
So and it was for sex crimes.
Okay.
So the fact that I don't know if you people that do crimes against children or women in prison, they have to go on they have to go on protection. So, because if prisoners find out it's someone that committed a crime against children or women, they might not leave prison.
Yeah, I was a CO.
You know what I mean?
They're not well thought of.
So, Matt Weiss, Alex Ude, don't forget you either, buddy. I don't know. Hey, you guys might never, ever, ever see the light of day ever again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, he could, if he gets hit for consecutive sentences, he could be facing 70 years in prison. And
he might not even make the 70 years. That's my point, Chris.
Oh, he's no way he's going to make it 70 years. The he'd die in prison anyhow. But yep. I mean, because of old age, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. You know what's also infuriating about this too, to me?
What's that?
Is the fact that how their fan base is so oblivious and so...
They want to bury it. They want to deny it happened. It's not that big a deal to them.
They think it's like just like water under the bridge. It's just a water off the duck's back. It don't matter to them.
You know, that infuriates me, Tyler, because let me tell you, just like the victims in the Jerry Sandusky case, just like the victims of the Baylor incidents, just like any other victim of a crime like this, granted, they may not have been actually physically, sexually assaulted, but there is a trauma that goes along with this, along with being violated the way they were, and that trauma is real. And it sickens me that the fan base from the scum up north want to just deny it, want to sweep it under the rug, want to say it's no big deal. It is a big deal. You ask the soccer player, you ask the women's hockey player, is it a big deal to them? Hell yes, it's a big deal. You ask any other women, was it a big deal? Yes, it's a big deal. It's disgusting.
I'm glad you mentioned the Jerry Sandusky and the Baylor incidences. Because honestly, Chris, I think this is worse.
I have a hard time making that stretch because the other were actual physical.
Oh, no.
Assaults. However, I think it makes it worse because the cover-up involved the university.
No. I not only the cover-up, but the sheer magnitude and sheer volume of all the cases.
Yeah.
Like, how many, and you have to also realize, what did he do with all those pictures? He could have exploited them and used them all for blackmail and try to get more. And all those pictures are out there on the internet forever. They're not going anywhere.
It's sick, Tyler. It's sick. I mean.
So honestly, I think it's worse.
You know, again, for me, I understand the magnitude of it. The scale is worse because it involves more people. I understand that it's worse because it involves the university aiding in the cover-up. I do believe that they probably are in violation of the Clery Act because I believe they knew this was going on to some extent. But at the same time, the others involved, like I said, actual victims of physical sexual assault. So I have a hard time making that stretch. But I'm not going to be one of these people who downplays what these people are going through either. Because what they're going through is real.
Oh, I agree. It's just, maybe it's just because this one is more fresh in my memory.
Yeah.
Chris.
I get that.
And it's with all the other stuff that they've been covering up that has made this look worse.
Yeah, and I can see where you're coming from with that. Absolutely. You know, I don't know if you saw the news today, but the MMA fighter Cain Velasquez. You know, he got issued, I guess, a 5-year sentence today. I think according to ESPN, for attempting to take out the guy who was who's trying to mess with his daughter. And,
oh yeah, I'm fully aware of that because I'm a huge wrestling and MMA fan, Chris.
Yeah, and I can honestly say that I could see people having this same response to what Matt Weiss has done if that was their daughter, if that was their sister, if that was their, you know, any family member. I could see that invoking that same kind of response because, like you said, you don't know what's going on with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the Matt Weiss, I think Jerry Sandusky, I think the Baylor scandal, the big thing is they transcend sport, and I think that's why I put them at the top of my list of the biggest scandals in college football history, because they not only affected the sport, but they transcended the sport.
But now, does this transition to sport too?
And that's the thing. We don't know. This may transition into sport as well. Because, you know, from everything we've heard from, you know, sources, they did have Ohio State training video.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then this definitely crosses over.
And not only that, gambling.
Yeah, there's a lot to be sorted out here. And without actually seeing what's on the hard drive for ourselves, we're never going to know just how much it is. But I have a feeling it's already ugly. Tyler, I'm going to say it again, and everybody thinks I'm crazy. This incident may end up resulting in a death penalty.
Yeah, I've been saying they deserve the death penalty. I've been saying it for a while now.
Yeah.
And honestly, I said it yesterday, Chris, on the show yesterday. We deserve a new rival.
Well, yeah.
Why put ourselves through? Why associate ourselves with somebody that is going to ruin our reputation?
Honestly, I feel like after all this, the Big Ten schools should hold a meeting and seriously consider removing Michigan. That would be a bold statement. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I would be in favor of that. I would be in favor of burying this team the way that and this university, the way they've wanted to bury these scandals, the way they want to bury how they've cheated, the way they want to bury what they've done to these young women.
And here's the other thing too, Chris. Do we also know it could be all men too?
It could be. This guy's a sick dude. It's hard to say. Hey, Tyler, I've got 3 more in queue, so I'm going to have to move on. You got any other last thoughts before you go, buddy?
No, I just wanted to say that I'm in the chat. I'm going to moderate.
Thank you so much for all you do in there. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Tyler, you take it easy, buddy.
All right. OH.
IO. All right, now I can't wait for this next call. You know, she was fiery on the line last night. Let's see if she's still fired up today. Are you still fired up today?
What up, Chris?
Are you still fired up today?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, man. I just got off the Buckeye Boy show this Monday because we just got done talking about it, and I was in a rage, and I still am.
I am disgusted. I'm sickened. I'm enraged. You throw an adjective out there, I'm probably feeling it right now. It's gone to a completely sick place.
I'm gonna try to keep my freaking language in check here. How much I want to say much. This is the most disgusting program there has ever been. Michigan is the dirtiest, scummiest, crappy program in the history of. I'm sorry, this is worse than any program as far as all of the bad, all of the scandals that have ever happened. They are worse than Miami. They are worse than any school that's ever had any kind of stuff. I get the Penn State stuff because that stuff legitimately happened. Same with Baylor, where it's sexual assault. But let me tell you something right now. That what Matt Weiss did, I think, is worse than both because as much as he didn't act on it yet, he most likely would have. Trust me when I tell you this. If there's one thing about this dude, he is a pedophile on a different level. He would have blackmailed, especially these young girls, into having sex with him if they did not want him to leak those pictures out. I promise you that's what they would have done. That's why I think this is worse, because I think he literally would have just carried it out. But doing it in the scummiest way possible.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that. Like I said, for me, I've had a hard time making that stretch just because of the actual physical violence that took place on the other. But the mental and emotional abuse that these young ladies and possibly young men, we don't know, but these victims of Matt Weiss are suffering is very real. The mental trauma they are suffering from this is very real. This is a sick, and I'm just going to say SOB to try to keep it somewhat family friendly. This is a sick SOB. I hope they nail him with the 70 years. I really do. I hope they give him 70
I hope
years.
so too.
I don't even care about the money. Because let me tell you something. These victims are going to get their money from Michigan. This is going to cripple that university.
Oh, yeah.
You better believe that.
Oh, heck yeah.
But the fact is, this guy needs locked away where he's never going to cause harm to anybody ever again. Disgusting.
I absolutely agree, 100%, because this dude is the most disgusting human being I have ever seen in my lifetime. Honestly, it's not even shocking. You know what's funny is when we talk about Michigan covering this up, you know this ain't their first time doing that, right? This ain't their first time covering up something like this.
No. They are.
This is not their first time.
They are professional con artists, for lack of a better term. They are so. I mean, you could go back to. Just look at all the scandals they've had. They've got this. They had the cheating. They had the cheeseburgers. They go back, you could go through, you've had Juwan Howard now, but hell, Juwan Howard's actually been part of 2 different scandals at Michigan because he was part of the Fab Five scandal.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
These guys.
And it's not only that, but was it the hockey program and the basketball program involved in like a little sexual assault, sexual harassment?
Yes.
Yeah, like weren't they involved in that too?
Yes.
Like, that's sickening.
Yeah.
That is so sickening. I can't, like, literally, this is why I think this program is worse than Penn State. It's those very things, because you have multiple sex scandals that have happened in this program before and even now. And they're doing everything they can to cover it up. Penn State, no matter what anybody would say, never would cover this up. If anything, they fired Jerry as soon as they found out how true this was. Same with Barely. None of these 2 schools covered this stuff up. This program, however, they are just professional cover-uppers who will cover up anything. I'm like, dude, this is why I say this. You cannot be all rivals. You just can't. Okay, it's just spitting in the face of the rivalry. It just does. It just spits in the face of the rivalry.
Do you think, and I don't think it'll ever happen, but do you think that there's credence to the argument I made earlier that the Big Ten should get together and consider removing Michigan from the conference?
I absolutely think they should.
Yes.
Because the Big Ten themselves don't condone nothing like this. This is just growth beyond levels of integrity in and of itself. I'm sorry. I mean, we're saying the Big Ten might never do that, but given how Michigan has given the middle finger to Tony Petitti, I could absolutely see him contemplating that because they've done that, and it's like, you shouldn't have.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, and what gets me, and Tyler mentioned earlier, is that their fans just want to blow it under the, sweep it under the rug. They want to ignore it like it never happened. How does
That's
anybody?
Sickening. It's just so.
How does anybody who's a halfway decent human being, how can they be a part of that? Eric called for people to come out a few weeks ago and said, "Listen, you need to, Michigan fans, you need to hold your program accountable. You need to hold Ward Manuel accountable.
Absolutely.
You need to hold, the president of the university accountable. You need to hold Sharon Moore accountable. You need to hold everybody accountable for the cheating scandal, for this, the scandal here. You've got to disavow this team and make them hold them accountable. And yet all they do is continue to defend them. And
I will never, this is why I don't like their fan base. Again, it's not everybody, because even my mom's friend Corey literally did not agree with this. He's sticking by this. But the rest of their fan base, man, y'all are just scumbag human beings, and I hope you all go with the devil in the next afterlife. Because y'all are sickening for that.
Yeah. Terry throws up, their argument is, but he was doing it before he got there. Yeah, when he was working for another Harbaugh.
Here's the funny thing. I don't think John Harbaugh is as bad as his brother. I actually think John Harbaugh is a good man. It's just that his family is full of a bunch of weirdos. He's the only normal person out of that family. I don't think he had anything to know about the Matt Weeks thing. I just think that was unfortunate with him. And for him to learn about this, I know he's sickened. Like, what the F?
I agree with you, TG. I don't think that he was necessarily, he definitely was not complicit in this. I don't think he was a part of it. But,
I don't either. No, I'm just saying, like, as much as people can say he worked for another Harbaugh, it's like, guys, remember this. He's the only normal one in our family. He would never condone something like this. And even I know he's kind of disappointed in his brother for allowing anything like this to happen. Really, what's been going on with that program? It's sickening. It's just that this program is just, again, this is why I said it. Ohio State needs to throw this rivalry away and never, ever, ever let them be relevant, because we are keeping them relevant. They really shouldn't be. They need to go down into irrelevancy ASAP.
Yeah, and even here tonight we're doing it. And, I know that other podcasts have done it as well. We're keeping them relevant. We're coming off of a national championship, TG. We got spring ball going on. We're 3 weeks out from our spring showcase, which we found out today is going to be an actual spring scrimmage of sorts. And here we are talking about this trash again, talking about the scum again. And they're like Cousin Eddie said in Christmas Vacation. They're the gift that keeps on giving. Because I'll tell you never run out of content where these guys are concerned. But man, I'll tell you, I'm getting over it, but I couldn't ignore it. You can't ignore this. I don't know.
Yeah, you just can't. I'm sorry, you can't. You just never will be able to ignore this, because this is sickening. Again, this is a program who has multiple scandals going on, and it's been going on for a while. I brought up on my show about the whole a baseball player they had that had a liquid PED in his glove that he was using to enhance his skill set, got suspended. Then you got the two scandals with the hockey program and the basketball program, where both are involved in this sexual assault type scandal, harassment as well, and where the hockey coach faked COVID results to get his players to play. And we all know Juwan Howard, who freaking punched the player, and then there was some other stuff going on as well with the basketball program under him. And now you have the Blake Corum LLC. You got the cheating scandal. You got this Mass White stuff, not just the hacking into other people's, like, we already know. He has practice film from like a bunch of schools, especially Michigan's main opponents, Ohio State, Penn State. He actually has some of Maryland. He has Rutgers. He has Alabama, Georgia, Michigan State, and countless others. And then on top of that, you may also have, like, you have these kids' medical records, meaning you are even knowing whether or not these people were whether they were injured or not. You have that stuff, as well as probably stuff you could take advantage of as well. On top of the fact of you having these kids, boys and girls, I would bet it's both boys and girls, pictures of them in a certain way that they don't want out there. Let's just say that. You are a sick F, and this program is sick AF, because you've been trying to cover this stuff up for the longest. It's like at some point, You shouldn't even be in the Big Ten. You don't deserve to be Ohio State's rival. You don't deserve to have any form of relevancy. You deserve to get kicked to the curb because you guys are a sick program. Y'all don't deserve any recognition whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree 100%. DG, this is. I mean, I don't even have words for my anger goes beyond words at this point. It really does. Got a $4.99 super chat from Speedman. Thank you so much, Speedman, for that. Any other parting thoughts before we go? We've still got a full bank of phones. So, anything else you got for us before you?
All I gotta say is I cannot wait for that hammer to drop. I hope it cripples this program for the next set of years. And if you're a parent, don't ever let I don't care how much money they offer, don't ever let your kid go to the Illuminati school. I'm sorry, don't ever do it. They are just Illuminati Central. Don't ever do that unless you want them caught up in this crap. Be a good parent and avoid them, just like how people avoid Georgia. Or at least the good parents do.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for calling in, TG. Hope to have you back on soon. OH.
IO.
Go Bucks. All right. What have we got next? Looks like we got a caller from the 931, but it is not one that I've got on my call list. So perhaps we have a new caller. Hi, who am I speaking with?
OH.
Hi-O.
David.
How's it going?
Hey, yeah, I want to. Oh, it's going, brother. Watching Sheet again just melt down is glorious. It's absolutely glorious, and I want to tell Buckeye Nation, grab your popcorn and enjoy the show because this is going to take years. All the stuff that was in that computer, the gambling cookies, every bit of this is going to take years. And it's just going to be glorious. And I agree, we should kick them out of the Big Ten. They don't deserve to be in there anymore. Goodbye. We could add Notre Dame and Stanford and all kinds of much better programs than scum.
Absolutely. You know, I'm not sure what I mean. It sickens me, like I've said, what they've done. But what sickens me even more is that their fans are willing to tolerate it and even accept it. That just tells me that, you know, and it's not all of them. They've got fans who are crying out saying, listen, something has to be done. They've got some stand-up people who are saying that. But the vast majority, specifically the media, which is covering them for the most part, is like going with the narrative of, well, there's nothing to see here. Just like they did with the cheating, just like they did with the cheeseburgers, just like they did with Juwan Howard going around knocking out other coaches. You know,
I tell you, if Juwan Howard would have smacked me, first off, I'd have smacked him back. Then I'd have had him arrested, or because there was that whole. I'm not a basketball fan, or I'm a college football guy through and through. And I tell you what, when I saw that, I'm like, are you kidding me? A Big Ten coach smacked another Big Ten coach because his team sucks. That's and then the guy has still kept his job. It was just, and then anybody surprised by everything else that's happened there? Are you kidding me?
There is a total, this is the definition of lack of institutional control going on up there. Without a doubt, textbook definition. And I got to tell you, the NCAA gave SMU the death penalty for far, far less. When I ranked my penalties earlier tonight, I went through and ranked the top 10 worst scandals in college football. The death penalty was number 5. Number 5. And we got 4 scandals above that who have not received near that. So we've got a somebody in the chat who asks, is Michigan going to receive any real consequence? Yes. Yeah, I think it gets worse by the day. But what they're going to receive, what are your thoughts? What do you think they're going to receive out of this?
I think they're going to get the hammer. Like I said, enjoy the show because this is going to go on for years. Okay, just pay attention to what has been happening here, right? The NCAA, actually, the FBI was the one that kept adding investigators as this thing started coming out.
Yes.
Remember back in 2023, this thing came out. They kept adding investigators.
Yes.
All right. I'm telling you right now, where there's smoke, there's fire. And those gambling cookies, I had a bad feeling when this whole gambling thing started taking off the way it did. I was like, this is going to come back to bite somebody in the keister, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And it's happened to the scum. So, if it's going to happen to anybody, I'd like to see it happen to them.
Well, it happened to Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and I wouldn't be surprised if scum's not the last one for this to happen to. It's too big of a thing, and there's all kinds of smoke there with Michigan. Scum when it comes to everything that we're talking about here. You just look at their text messages. I talk to my sister like every night, and she's every bit of as Ohio State maniac as I am. And they're done. Just enjoy the show, guys. Enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Sit back, relax, because they're going to get the death penalty, but it's not going to be the way you think it is. It's going to be over a period. It's going to be a death by 1,000 deaths.
Yeah. Anything else on your mind tonight? Anything positive tonight?
No, but that's it. I appreciate it. I was about ready to jump off here anyways. I got to get ready to go to work here soon. So
all right.
Appreciate it.
Well, you take it easy. Have a good night. OH.
I-O.
All right. We still have one more caller on the line. I'm going to bring him up. If we don't have any other callers in queue after that, we'll probably wrap up after this next call. But oh, look, two more just popped in the queue. Look at that. Love that. All right. Welcome. How are things going tonight?
Good, Wild Man. How you doing?
Is this the Lunatic Fringe?
Yes, sir, it is.
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Isn't there something happening down at the Woody Hayes Center?
There is. There's spring ball going on, and they had a pretty solid week of spring ball last week. The coaches seem very optimistic. They all in their pressers today were very positive. We learned some big things from Ryan Day. Like I said earlier, we have the fact that he's going to be out there. He's going to be more on rotation this year. With how well it worked with the offensive line down that playoff run, he knows he needs that depth over a potential 16-game schedule. We saw that we're going to have a real spring scrimmage, I guess. So yeah, there's a lot going on at the Woody Hayes right now.
Right. I've heard so much about the new kids and everything. My biggest fear is come the spring portal, we lose somebody out in the DB room and the wide receiver room because we just have so much talent there.
Well,
so much talent.
Yeah, and there's I would be concerned about the DB room. This is why. I think Devin Sanchez is going to push for starting time this season.
Absolutely.
He is that type of player. So I don't
no
think
doubt
that's
about
a possibility at all. Could we lose a receiver? As deep as our receiver room is, could we lose a receiver if any of those young guys start stepping up and pushing? Probably.
And that's, I'm thinking too. Because we got Bell and Porter coming in, and Mylan Graham that didn't see anything last year.
But they
and
have
you've got Rogers.
They got some real good things they've been saying about Mylan Graham this year. He is looking very, very good in practice.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see him on the field. but I want to see them on our field. I hope that we can get them in the rotation. We talk about rotation. We have to rotate them wide receivers to keep them hungry and feed them and let them eat.
Well, outside of Jeremiah Smith, who I think will see the majority of his snaps, I think you could see rotation with the rest of these guys because it doesn't sound to me like there's a whole lot of fall off between, say, 2 and 5.
Exactly, and that's that's a good thing to have and a bad thing to have. That's why I'm saying I'm afraid that we're going to lose somebody. If we were to lose somebody, what wide receiver do you think we could lose?
What's that? If we were going to lose somebody, what?
What wide receiver do you think we would lose if we were losing a wide receiver?
I think, and I would hope it's not Mylon Graham, but he's the guy that's going to be hard to keep off the field. So if it doesn't look like we're going to be giving him the time, he's going to go where he can get it. I think that Bryson Rogers, who had already flirted with the portal, I believe, is a possibility, but he's been having a great spring. It's so hard to say right now. We just don't know what's in their heads, It's so hard. And Mika mentions this just like you did. Rotation is the key. If you get these kids snaps, they're gonna be happy. Brandon Ennis is a guy who was at number 4 last year, and he was patient. He waited his time. I think it pays off this year. I think he's probably number 3 in the rotation this year, and I think he'll get his snaps. But I'll tell you, I think that we've got such good depth at that position that you're going to have to rotate a lot. And again, that's not a bad thing. But I don't think you'll see Jeremiah Smith come off the field a whole lot just because even if he's not the primary weapon, he's the primary decoy.
Exactly.
He is that guy that gets on the field. We talked about this a little bit with Will Howard last night. We were comparing Will Howard to J.J. McCarthy, and I said Will Howard was the guy who goes out and makes other players around him better, whereas J.J. was the guy who had to be lifted up by his players. I think Jeremiah Smith is that guy who goes out and he makes the players around him better. His work ethic, his tenacity, his football IQ, his just everything he does makes everyone around him better. So he's going to be in there as much as possible, at least until the game's put away. Once the game's put away, you're going to see him come off, obviously, to avoid injury.
Well, I'll just let you go. I want to bring that up. I know you got callers on the line.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate the call. OH.
Thank you, Squall, man. I owe.
Go Bucks. All right, guys, lines are open. We'll give it a couple minutes. If nobody calls in, we'll go ahead and check out here momentarily. Guys, been a big day. I'm actually glad we finished on that note, if that is our last call, because this Michigan stuff really kind of sickened me a little bit. It took me to kind of a dark place. And talking about the positives, talking about the great kids that we have in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, has really, I think, been a tremendous pick-me-up. Hey, you know what? We had one call in. I got to bring him on. I know this number. Who am I on the line with?
Hey, big boy.
What's up, you sexy podfather, you?
Dude, we gotta get you we gotta get you a headset, man.
This little thing. I'm gonna go out tomorrow and I think buy one since I have nothing to do. This thing's driving me nuts.
I have an extra one at work I can bring you, dude, because that you fiddling around with that thing looks like it's gonna try to pop out of your ear every time you turn around.
It does pop out of my ear every time I turn around. Oh,
I thought when you said the lines were free, I thought I'd give you a ring.
Yeah,
And
the lines are free.
so, did you watch the coaches interviews today?
Absolutely, all three.
Did you notice? Tell me if, again in chat. Tell me if I'm wrong here. It felt like to me, Ryan Day was a little bit agitated today.
You know, I didn't actually watch. I listened to his. I wasn't home at the time, so I listened to his. I didn't take that away from the tone necessarily. I might have to watch the video. But hey,
last week he was loose and excited and full of energy, and today it looked like he was a little bit more agitated. I don't know if maybe things haven't gone well the last couple of days in practice, or maybe he was just super focused. But they did mention that there was a lot of recruits there today. I think he was like, maybe he was just agitated that he had to spend 20 minutes talking to that doggone media when he really wanted to go recruit. But I don't know. He just seemed a little bit like that. But interesting, the talking with Brian Hartline about being on the headset during practice and calling plays, and he seems super confident that he's going to be fine at like doing this. Like, yeah, it's a little bit of a change in things, but I don't know. This seems like Brian Hartline seems super confident that he's going to do great as the play caller. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's really growing into the position, Eric. I think that last year he wasn't quite ready. So having Chip was obviously the right move. I think he feels ready. And you even heard Ryan Day reference it. He started out, wide receivers and calling the plays too at one point. So, yeah, I think that Hartline is ready. Obviously, I love the fact that they didn't ask Ryan Day about a quarterback, and then Brian Hartline's first question was about the quarterback. But I think he's ready. I think he knows he's got a lot to work with. So I'm excited for this. I'm very excited. Again, I don't think this offense is going to be a problem at all. I think this offense is going to be very, very good.
So, do you think he'll stay down on the field, or do you think he goes up into the booth?
Here's the thing. I think if we had an experienced quarterback, he would be up in the booth. With a first-time starter.
Well, but he's not the quarterback coach, so that's not as big of a deal.
No, I understand
right?
that. I understand that. But just in general,
do you think Ryan Day
coach up the players?
Do you think Ryan Day said to him, "You need to be up in the booth"? Because Ryan Day said he liked to be down on the field, right, as a play caller because of he wanted to look in the players' eyes and he wanted to feel that emotion and that momentum and things. But I don't know. He also said being up in the booth, it's like playing a video game. I thought,
you from the booth?
Dude, Ryan. Yeah, well, Ryan, Brian Hartline's a younger guy. He probably played video games and stuff like that. I don't know. That just kind of resonated with me, man. Like, do you want to put Brian Hartline in the booth because it's a sterile environment, or do you want him next to you because you're the head coach and you're training him? Like, it's an interesting idea here, and he might start on the field and then go up to the booth. I don't know. It's just an interesting conversation.
Well, here's the thing: if Ryan Day is managing the game, if he's up in the booth, who's going to be that guy to step up and be the voice on the sideline?
For the offense or for? Well, it's Ryan Day.
Well, no. Let's say Ryan Day is strictly sticking to his CEO role. Do we have another guy that could do it?
So you think last year when Chip Kelly was up in the booth that Brian Hartline was the voice for the offense down on the sideline?
No, I don't. I think Ryan Day was at the time. Absolutely.
So why would that change?
I don't know. I'm just saying, is he gonna ever become fully a CEO?
He already is fully a CEO.
Not if he's the voice of the offense.
Well, but he's also he's the voice of the freaking team.
He is.
Like, he can go yell at the offense. He can go yell at the defense. I mean, if he's going to take that next
step. The defense has a crap series. He's got to go focus on the defense. He's got to go over and yell at the defense. Who's talking to the offense while he's over there yelling at the defense?
Well, Brian Hartline should be calling plays at that point, not talking to the offense. He should be calling plays.
I just think you need a pair of leaders on the sideline in addition to Ryan.
For each side of the ball?
You need one for the offense, one for the defense. And
okay. So who was the leader for the offense on the sideline last year, and who was the leader of the defense on the sideline last year? Answer that question for me.
Well, I would have to think that you have coaches that could step up and fill the role, is all I'm saying. I think you do.
You didn't answer my question.
Do I think it was Ryan Day?
Who was the leader on the sidelines last year?
Probably Ryan Day. But I also think Ryan Day at some point has to give up some of that power.
I don't understand what you mean with that, because we won a freaking national championship
and he did a great job
with this equation.
He did a great job. But, you know, I don't know. I feel like he is one of these people who has a habit of he takes on too much. And eventually he could trip over himself. Now, he did a great job last year.
Okay, well, answer me this one, Batman. Riddle me this, Batman. Okay,
remember,
riddle me this.
He also had last year an offensive coordinator who's been doing it since about the time I was in diapers.
Right. Okay, let me go back to what we're going in a circle here now. So, were you for Brian Hartline being the offensive coordinator, or would you have went out and sought somebody else?
I am for him getting his shot.
Okay.
If for no other reason than the fact that if we don't give him the shot, we're going to lose him.
Right. So shouldn't you trust him? Or do you think Ryan Day, because of this, is going to say, you need to be next to me on the sideline?
Should he trust him? Yes. But to me, I like him on the sideline.
Okay. That's fine. So then that means he has to have eyes in the sky up in the booth, right?
Correct.
Who's that going to be?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, Eric. I'm not. I mean, as I sit here and think through, Coach Block's got to be with his boys.
Keenan Bailey will be in the booth.
Here's one for you.
Okay.
Is there a possibility you could see the new offensive line coach?
I hope not.
Somebody who's been an offensive coordinator before.
Right, but here's why I wouldn't want it to be him. Your offensive line coach definitely needs to be on the sideline, because it's an entire group, right? It's not just one player. It's not just 2 or 3 players. We have several, yes. 74 is a little bit of an exaggeration.
It is.
But okay, so if you're going to put him up in the booth because he's got OC experience, right? Because that's why you're putting him up there. I can see what the avenue you're taking. Then why are we trusting Brian Hartline to call the plays then? I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like,
I do see. What you're saying.
Brian Hartline needs to go to the booth, and he needs to be sitting next to one of our old coaches who's done it before, helping him out. It's not going to be this is not going to be easy for Ryan Day.
Here's the thing. The reason I like Brian Hartline on the sideline is he is a motivator. I feel like he's going to feel out of place in the booth.
Possibly. Well, but getting out of your comfort zone is what this is all about, though, too, for him. Ryan Day's championship beard in the chat said Zach Smith talked about this today. What did he say, Ryan? RDCB. What did he say? I didn't get a chance to watch that show. I was too busy at work. I'm interested to see what he said.
And as far as Matt Patricia goes, he definitely needs to be in the
Bailey,
because we only need one beard on the
correct. Side. 100%. I agree with you on that. Bailey, he said. Okay.
Maybe.
Oh, that was interesting.
I was thinking about this. But I think that would have been too much of an issue, I think. I don't know that I would have liked Kevin Wilson there with Hartline. I think he could have learned from him, but you almost got to feel like you're constantly looking over your shoulder because Kevin Wilson was already Ryan Day's guy once.
I don't know about that, Chris. I don't know. Am I holding anybody else up in the? Oh, okay.
In fact, I was going to hang up before you called.
I know you were. That's why I called in because I didn't want you to end on such a bad note without me calling in.
It would have been okay. By the way, Bobby has a message for you.
Oh, does she now?
Yes, she does.
Did you guys finally take a picture?
We have several pictures. But she said you forgot her birthday. You put that picture out there. You have hurt her. You've hurt her deeply. And she expects to have a new Blackstone delivered to the house tomorrow afternoon.
Jeez, a Blackstone? You guys think I'm money bags or something?
What she doesn't know is
my goodness.
I'm already getting her.
You tell Bobby that she'll have something special coming from the Podfather. Well, she'll be proud to be wearing my face around Marion, the Marion schools.
She's trying to figure out why anybody wants to wear your face, Eric. I think that's why she hasn't made a picture of me yet. She's like, yeah, sell that stuff. We can give it away.
I would love to see nothing more than us make a Wild Man T-shirt that you give to all the kids in your class, and they take a picture with it. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be awesome. Maybe one of those pictures with like my head exploding. And it says,
yeah. I'm working on that one. I'm working on that, actually. Yeah, we need to do that. All right, brother. I'm going to let you go, man. Have a good rest of your night and enjoy the show. Good job.
Thank you, Eric. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, that looks like it's a wrap. We don't have anybody else in the chat. So, hey, just looking forward to how things go. Make sure that you check out all the new content we're dropping on a daily basis. Go in, make sure you're liking, you're sharing with all your friends. Like I said, subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost you a thing. Go in. If you like what we do, make sure you become a member. Go on, check out our online store at theohiopodcast.com. We have some great merchandise on there. We're going to have some more coming up here shortly. And don't forget, we've got the spring showcase right around the corner. We're going to have the tailgate going for that. So lots of big things coming up on the horizon, guys. So, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Until next time, go Bucks.